happy Wednesday evening, March 2nd, 2022. I'm Riley King. Welcome to this Wednesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, Convoy protesting vaccine requirements winds through New Hampshire. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Yeah, that's correct, Gene. Now, the people in the convoy say they want to make it clear that they are not anti-vaccination. They just want the right to choose. As the convoy made its way down 93, supporters could be seen lining overpasses on 93. Now, the group left Lincoln around 8:30 in the morning, one of three convoys passing through New Hampshire today. Many of the vehicles decked out with flags and messages. Once they made their way to Londonderry, they pulled off the highway and were greeted by a group of supporters. Some Canadian flags were flying, a nod to the Canadian truckers who many credit with inspiring the convoy. And while some may have different reasons for attending, the overwhelming majority say they are there for one thing, and that is to support freedom.
It's the freedom of choice. This isn't a left or a right issue. It's a human issue, and being able to make your decision on how you want to live your life.
I'm here to support medical choice, especially begin with the truckers in Canada not wanting to be forced to have to do the shots to keep their job. So we're not anti-vaccine. We're only for choice.
Now, after the stop in Londonderry, the plan is to head down to Auburn, Massachusetts, pick up some people from Connecticut, then make their way to New York State for an overnight before heading down to Maryland. Now, this group, at least, has no plans to head into D.C. They're confident they can make their voices heard from outside the nation's capital. Reporting live in Windham, Ray Brewer, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man accused of shooting another man at Rumney Post Office. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
How can you control where your company will go if you don't know where every dollar is going? Koopa.
We are learning new details about yesterday's shooting at the post office in Rumney. State police have now identified the suspected gunman as Dean Kennison. Troopers say he and the victim got into a fight in the post office parking lot yesterday afternoon. They say Kennison shot the victim in the torso. That person is expected to recover. Kennison is charged with assault and reckless conduct with a firearm.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Part of Route 101 back open in Bedford after a crash. No word on injuries. Emergency crews responded to the scene of a crash on Route 101 in Bedford on Wednesday morning. Police said the crash happened before 10 a.m. on Route 101 near Route 114. The road temporarily shut down in the area until it reopened before 11 a.m., police said. The exact of injuries, if any, is not known. Biggest moments from Biden's first State of the Union. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
If Raina's thinking about retirement, She'll get some help from Fidelity to envision what's possible and balance risk and reward. And with a clear plan, Raina can enjoy wherever she's headed next. That's the planning effect from Fidelity.
We have so much to get to this morning. President Biden delivering his first State of the Union address amid an international crisis, as we know.
And there was a show of support for Ukraine in the House chamber last night. Lawmakers in blue and yellow wearing pins and waving flags.
The president condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin, saying he had badly miscalculated and would pay a price for the invasion. But Russian forces are stepping up their attacks this morning. And on the domestic front, the president took on inflation, the pandemic, and crime. In a moment, we'll hear from Vice President Kamala Harris. Chief White House correspondent Cecilia Vega starts us off. Good morning, Cecilia.
George, good morning to you. No doubt President Biden delivered this speech last night to a divided nation, one that is frustrated with COVID and very worried about inflation. But when he called on the world to save democracy in the face of a common enemy, Vladimir Putin, President Biden saw something he has rarely seen since taking office: unity on both sides of the aisle.
In his first State of the Union address, President Biden vowing to fight for democracy and make Vladimir Putin pay for Russia's war against Ukraine.
Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated.
Lawmakers wearing Ukraine's blue and yellow colors and waving flags in solidarity, and in a bipartisan show of force, saluting Ukraine's ambassador to the United States with a standing ovation. The president announcing new moves to combat Putin's aggression.
We will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy. He has no idea what's coming.
To blunt the impact of war and pain at the pump here at home, he also announced the release of millions of barrels of oil from the strategic reserve. And he had this message of reassurance in the face of the Kremlin putting its nuclear forces on high alert.
I want you to know we're going to be okay.
With inflation at a 40-year high, the president promising to make fighting rising prices his top priority.
Too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel.
He's pushing for lowering the cost of prescription drugs and childcare, once in his Build Back Better plan, now stalled, blocked by some in his own party. One of them, Senator Joe Manchin, seen sitting with Republicans, his office calling it a show of bipartisanship. And in the packed, maskless chamber, the president also signaling a new phase in the fight against COVID.
Thanks to the progress we've made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives.
Announcing his administration will send more free rapid tests to Americans and unveiling a new test-to-treat program.
People can get tested at a pharmacy, and if they prove positive, receive the antiviral pills on the spot at no cost.
The president even winning some Republican cheers with his message on fighting crime.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police. Fund them with resources and training.
But Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert of Colorado drawing boos, including from members of her own party, for heckling the president over the deaths of 13 service members in Afghanistan.
A cancer that would put them in a flag-draped coffin. I know.
It came just as President Biden was talking about care for veterans and his late son Bo's battle with cancer.
One of those soldiers was my son, Major Bo Biden.
But in these divided times, it was his praise for the strength of the American people that brought this chamber to its feet.
The State of the Union is strong because you, the American people, are strong. We are stronger today than we were a year ago. And we'll be stronger a year from now than we are today. This is our moment.
Now, with that 37% approval rating, the president's looking for one of these post-speech bounces, so he heads to Wisconsin today to tout his bipartisan infrastructure law. But so much of the rest of his agenda, Robin, remains stalled in Congress. So the big question this morning is, does that speech move that needle at all?
That is the big question, Cecilia. Thank you. Well, hey there, GMA fans. Rob.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. Good night and goodbye, everyone.